They gather in groups because alone they are nothing. That is the reality nobody says out loud. People who are truly powerful do not dedicate their existence to humiliating others. They do not spend their days watching, provoking, gossiping, calculating reactions like desperate parasites searching for emotional scraps. No. A strong person builds. A weak person obsesses. And that is exactly why these people expose themselves every single time they attack someone who refuses to collapse. Look at them carefully. They laugh too loudly. They mock too eagerly. They provoke too often. They celebrate too early. Because beneath all that fake confidence is panic. Deep panic. The kind that comes from realizing someone they tried to break keeps becoming stronger instead. Nothing humiliates insecure people more than seeing their attacks fail. Especially when the person they targeted becomes calmer, wiser, sharper, more disciplined, more untouchable. That destroys them internally. Because people like this depend on reactions to feel important. They need visible damage. They need emotional chaos. They need to believe they can control how others feel. Without that, they are forced to confront something unbearable, their own insignificance. And that is why they keep escalating. The manipulation becomes more obvious, the mockery becomes more desperate, the obsession becomes more embarrassing. Because when weak people lose control over someone, they start losing control over themselves. They mistake cruelty for intelligence, noise for dominance, harassment for power. But real power does not scream for attention. Real power remains composed while chaos humiliates itself publicly. That is the difference. You see, shallow people always expose their nature eventually. Give them enough time, and they will reveal exactly how empty they are. They cannot help it. Emotionally immature people are predictable. They recycle the same pathetic tactics endlessly. Mockery, passive aggression, fake concern, envy disguised as jokes, coordinated humiliation, constant negativity, childish games. And the saddest part? Many of them genuinely believe they look strong while doing it. From the outside, they look ridiculous. Like frightened hyenas barking at something they cannot control. Always loud, always restless. Always emotional. Because emotionally stable people do not dedicate their lives to disturbing others. Only broken people do that. A fulfilled person does not wake up searching for targets. A disciplined person does not need to humiliate strangers to feel valuable. A peaceful person does not become obsessed with destroying someone else's confidence. But bitter people need victims, because attacking others distracts them from confronting their own failures. Your discipline irritates them because it reminds them of their laziness. Your silence irritates them because it exposes their desperation. Your self-control irritates them because they cannot control themselves, and your resilience. That is what truly terrifies them, because every time you survive something designed to weaken you, their illusion of power dies a little more. Imagine spending months trying to destabilize someone, only to watch them become mentally stronger because of you. That is not dominance. That is failure at the highest level, and deep down, they know it. That is why their behavior becomes more reckless over time. They begin exposing themselves publicly without realizing it. Their obsession becomes visible. Their bitterness becomes undeniable. People start noticing the difference. One person remains focused, disciplined, composed. The other spends their existence reacting emotionally to someone else's life. Eventually, the truth becomes impossible to hide. One evolved, the other decayed. That is why you should never envy these people. Pity them. Imagine being spiritually so weak that your greatest source of stimulation is trying to disturb someone who is simply trying to grow in peace. Imagine needing attention so desperately that hatred becomes your personality. That is not strength. That is internal collapse hidden behind arrogance. And the cruelest part for them is this: the people they target often become stronger than ever before. Because pressure reveals character. Attacks reveal discipline. Isolation reveals resilience. And pain reveals who was always meant to rise. Some people were not destroyed by hardship. They were introduced to their real strength through it. That is why this channel exists. Not for weak minds addicted to drama. Not for people who waste their lives chasing attention. Not for emotional parasites obsessed with bringing others down.
This channel is for the people who were targeted, isolated, underestimated, mocked, betrayed, pressured, abandoned, and still refused to surrender themselves. For the people who slowly realized that everything meant to break them was secretly training them. Because somewhere along the way, many strong people were manipulated into forgetting who they were. They were taught to doubt themselves, shrink themselves, apologize for their intensity, suppress their discipline, hide their resilience. This channel exists to remind them.
To remind you, your calm is not weakness, your restraint is not fear, your silence is not submission, and your ability to survive what destroyed weaker people is not something to be ashamed of. It is proof of who you are becoming. So if you are rebuilding yourself mentally, if you are learning to become emotionally untouchable, if you are done allowing bitter people to drain your energy, subscribe, because every video here is designed to help strong people reconnect with the power the world tried to convince them they never had. And once you remember that strength fully, the same people who mocked you will no longer even be able to reach you.